It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. He's Bo Brock. I'm Johnny Venerable. We're going to be talking about the Arizona Cardinals, of course, today, and the fact that maybe could they exceed expectations. They are picked by many, including our friends at BetMGM, to be amongst the worst teams in the NFL in 2023, Bo Brock. But we're going to talk to our PHNX Cardinals beat reporter, Howard Balzer, Bo, about how and maybe why this team could overachieve. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I think Howard has been churning out some great work, especially at gophnx.com, just deep diving, getting into the details as far as this roster, how it's been constructed, and where they're kind of spending their money, where they aren't spending their money, and what they've brought in as far as draft capital and undrafted free agents. With his latest, Howard Balzer joins us here on PHNX Cardinals. And Howard, yeah, I thought your most recent piece at gophnx.com was the most interesting as far as what guaranteed money is going to which undrafted free agents. And what did you see out there as far as maybe there's, I think, two guys that the guaranteed money might point signs to those guys potentially making a roster?
Well, the thing about those two guys, and you're talking about Blake Whiteheart, a tight end, and Jacob Slade, a defensive lineman. And while this guaranteed money pales in comparison, obviously, to veterans and draft picks, the reality is you end up paying guaranteed money for undrafted guys that you really want. And when you pay that guaranteed money, it's because other teams want them too. And that's the big thing, because there's a tremendous amount of competition, as not only after the draft ends, but some of it's even going on during the 6th and the 7th round, where teams are already in contact with players that they don't think are going to be drafted. And so obviously these guys aren't sure things, but there's a certain amount of undrafted free agents that make rosters every year. And those guys come in a little bit with a chip on their shoulder and say, hey, this is, I want to show that I should have been drafted. And then you look at a guy like Amari Dermercado, the running back, and you look at guys at certain positions where you see the Cardinals and say, they only have 5 running backs on the roster right now. Now, could that change by the time camp starts? It could, but that's not a lot of running backs to take to camp with. And so here's a guy that's been in the program now for about a month, a little bit over a month. And so if he can show on special teams, certainly, and maybe as a kick returner, that he can compete for a position. Same thing with Whiteheart at tight end. I mean, he and Slade both got, one of them got $200,000 in guaranteed base salary, plus a small signing bonus, and Slade got $200,000 of guaranteed salary for this first year. And when you look at the Cardinals at tight end with Zach Ertz and Trey McBride, after that, it's wide open. Most teams keep 3 tight ends, and you certainly like a guy to block, and that's Whiteheart's strength. So there's some opportunities for guys to help this team, and that's how this roster has been constructed, obviously, in the offseason. Not a lot of splash, not guys making a lot of money, but guys on 1-year deals, some 2, but guys who are going to come in because they're trying to compete for jobs. It also means that if any of them do well, they're going to be unrestricted free agents again next year. But that's the way this roster, for the most part, has been constructed to create a lot of competition. And we'll see if it bears fruit once the season begins in September.
Yeah, that's a great point, Howard. We talked about it earlier this week on the show, that the Arizona Cardinals roster, it's on the thin side, right? They didn't make a ton of moves in free agency, but I think the benefit of that, and where it can kind of push back on a lot of the roster construction under Steve Keim, is we're poised to see a ton of young players, especially these draft picks, get opportunities to play. And everybody can fall in love with guys in shorts during OTAs and minicamp, but it's hard not to be bullish right now when you could roll out a starting lineup or a 2-deep depth chart that includes Paris Johnson Jr., B.J. Ojulari, Michael Wilson. I mean, is it too far-fetched to say that this rookie class is going to play the most snaps of a Cardinal rookie class in, let's call it, a decade plus?
Yeah, I don't know if going back a decade, but it could be. I don't have all the numbers from that far, but I think that there should be and there will be considerable snaps for these guys. Certainly, you would think for Johnson and Ojulari. Michael Wilson's a guy that probably, if he had been able to stay healthy in college, that he probably would have been a second-round draft pick. But instead, he goes to the third round, and the guy's got size. And that's the one thing that Wilson brings to the table at receiver. We see a receiver class. I wrote about this a week or so ago, that after the release of DeAndre Hopkins, your top three guys are, you got Marquise Brown at 5'9", and Greg Dortch and Rondale Moore are 5'7". So who are your targets aside from the tight ends in the passing game? And Wilson's over 6 foot. Zach Pascal is over 6 foot. And so there's a real opportunity for Wilson to contribute here. And who knows, John Gaines, the offensive lineman. We don't know what the offensive line is really going to look like when week one comes around, but he's going to be competing for that center job. And even though it looks like it'll probably go to Froholt, hey, we all know that a lot of times offensive lines don't stay healthy during the season. So it's a good point, because I think we're going to see a lot of these rookies playing a lot of snaps, and certainly a bunch of them, even if they don't play from scrimmage, are going to be contributing a lot on special teams, obviously.
You've been kind of asking Jonathan Gannon a lot about, just how this team is preparing, and as far as how serious they're taking the health standpoint as far as this roster goes, because you pointed out Philly was one of the healthiest teams, and of course Gannon inherited one of the most unhealthy teams. We know the 22 Cardinals went through, the gauntlet as far as players not being available. What can you tell us as far as since you started asking JG about it, and then the most recent things we've unearthed from Rondale Moore and the approach of DJ Humphries? What can you tell us about this new approach for this Cardinals training staff?
Well, the one thing is not only the training staff, it's the strength and conditioning staff, which they added, I think, 3 or 4 coaches. And you wonder why it took them so long to do that, but they finally did. Prior to that, they had 2 guys in strength and conditioning, and that was about it. Now, they kept those 2 guys, Buddy Mars and Naylor, who was his assistant, and then they added, several other guys that are going to be concentrating on different areas of strength and conditioning and sports science. Heck, I look at some of these staffs around the NFL, and a lot of them have 5, 6 guys in that area. And for all these years, the Cardinals only had 2. So now they've added to that. The nutrition is a huge part of it. And, all teams have nutrition specialists and all those things in terms of eating right. And so what they're hopeful of, obviously, is that avoids some of those injury issues that you have. Now, we know that, hey, when you tear a knee, or when you break a bone or whatever it might be, some of those things are going to happen. They're unavoidable. But the soft tissue injuries, the things like that, they're looking very closely at that and monitoring how much time these guys are on the field. You don't want to overdo things. And I know even in OTAs, we don't notice it. Bo, we've been out there every OTA they've had so far. We don't notice it because we're not there for every one. This week we were there for 2, which was kind of a bonus. The previous week's only 1. But what they've even been doing in OTAs, they alternate days in terms of one day is more up tempo, more high speed and things like that, and then the next day they kind of down ramp it a little bit. And so they're doing some of those alternating things that they hope will keep this team a lot healthier, because no matter who you have in your roster, you have to have players healthy if you're going to compete in this league. And you mentioned, when I talked to Gannon and I asked him questions, especially with the Eagles. Believe it or not, they had the guys who started on opening day for them last season were the same starters that started in the Super Bowl. Wow. Same 22 guys. That's rare. That's unusual. It began on the offensive line. And so when you have your main guys out there, that's so important in this sport, to have that continuity on a week-to-week basis, and especially on that offensive line. I asked DJ Humphries about that today, and he talked about how important that is. I know every time we ask Gannon about the offensive line and what it's going to look like, he says, well, we got a long way until opening day. But the key is, whatever that line looks like on opening day, it's important to keep them together and have some continuity. And that's what the Eagles had on their line last year, and that's what the Kansas City Chiefs had last year. Obviously, they have a lot of great players too, but keeping them on the field is is obviously paramount to having a team have any level of success.
Howard Balzer keeping us in the loop with some money quotes and additions. And speaking of money, make your money with BetMGM. It's BetMGM. Call your shot. We've teamed up with BetMGM this season. It's the official sports book of PHNX. We'll be live every single Sunday. BetMGM Sportsbook at the Great Lawn at State Farm Stadium. Myself, Bo Brock, Howard Balzer at the stadium. And we'll have special offers for our listeners each and every week, every Saturday and Wednesday. Claim your bonus bet on the house. Fans will automatically receive a bonus bet upon logging into their account. Bets expire after 72 hours, so do not wait. Bonus bets can only be used on sports wagers. Take some of your winnings and invest it in some BetMGM Sportsbook. Great food, great fun. They got nachos you cannot believe. I had some last week at the first Friday in June. Speaking of the first Friday, it's the Knockout Nights Cornhole League. June through August. Specials, giveaways, BetMGM prizes, live shows. Be there. And if you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? Use that bonus code PHNX with BetMGM Sportsbook. There's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, you're going to get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, make sure you're using that bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details, and now listen to our guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
You can bet we're going to have some Four Peaks beers out there. Of course, they've got the Wow Weed on tap, and they've got the Kilt Lifter on tap, the flagship. You can make your way out to Four Peaks and try all their great beers that they brew right there on location, 8th Street. More importantly, you need to follow them on social media. Of course, keep up with Arizona's favorite craft and premier craft brewery with at Four Peaks Brew and at Four Peaks Pub. They are giving away 4 tickets to a Diamondbacks game. You can win some D-Bucks, get to the Four Peaks tap room out there in right field, and it's on Four Peaks, the tickets and the food and beverages, because you get those D-Bucks. Get in on it now at Four Peaks Brew on Instagram. Hit the link in the bio, sign up there, and also take advantage if you're a teacher and it's your off season. We'll go and hopefully get $4 pints at 8th Street's location for Four Peaks. They're giving away 4 core breweries, so you can get the Kilt Lifter, you can get the Wow, you can get the Hop Nut for $4 if you're a teacher, because they're giving back and thanking a teacher. You could even maybe enter to win. Four Peaks donates school supplies to teachers all around the valley. You can learn more on their social accounts at Four Peaks Brew and at Four Peaks Pub. You got to be 21 years or older. Of course, you got to enjoy it responsibly. Howard, I know your time is limited here, but I wanted you to put our listeners or viewers at ease about BJ Ujulari, the second round pick for the Cardinals. He remains, as we record this podcast, unsigned.
A big part of it is he was bothered by a hamstring during the whole pre-draft process. And so I think they're being very careful with him. But I'm sure that there's a certain amount of he wants to be careful on his end, too, because he's unsigned. Now, Gannon said the other day it doesn't have anything to do with the contract, but he's probably not going to admit that if it was. We did finally see some movement yesterday and today on some second-round picks and the contracts that they're signing. And Derek Hall, by the way, was a second-round pick, I believe, of the Seahawks. He became the first player in this current system of slotting contracts, which has now been around since 2011, that actually got some guaranteed money in the 4th year of his contract. Normally, in the second-round picks, there's a signing bonus, of course, and then there's some of their salaries, and sometimes all of their salaries are guaranteed in the first 3 years. Well, he got some in the 4th year. And so up until yesterday, there had only been 7 second-round picks signed in the entire NFL. So that's 25 unsigned out of a total of 65 that were unsigned throughout the whole league. More second-round picks unsigned than first-round picks. And all of them were signed were from 26 through 32 at the end of the round. Well, Hall was a much earlier pick. Matthew Bergeron of the Falcons was a much earlier pick. And so now that 2 guys have signed, a lot of agents sometimes they don't want to be the one to sign a deal too early because it kind of sets the stage for all the deals around them. And even though the total dollars are slotted, the guaranteed money over and above the signing bonus is what has slowed second round contracts this year and previous years also. So hopefully with those two guys being signed, that's going to start opening it up for the rest of the second round. They'll all be signed by camp. I'm sure there's not going to be a real issue there. But there is that, they don't want to take a chance with Ojulari's hamstring. He's there, he's watching, he's getting the mental reps. Obviously the camp reps are going to be very important. And so in the long run, he should be fine. But these still are important reps at this time of the year. But, for a pass rusher and a guy coming off the edge, he should pretty much, I would think, know what he has to do. But hopefully he'll be totally healthy by the time training camp rolls around at the end of July.
He's the best Cardinal reporter in the business, beat reporter. Check out his work, Howard Balzer. Go PHNX.com. Slam that promo code Howard, HOWARD. Howard Balzer, thank you so much for joining the show.
Always a pleasure, guys. Anytime. Take care.
I'll tell you what, nothing do I like more than to pull up at GoPHNX.com. Howard's reports his articles and dip into my snacks from Circle K, my luxurious smorgasbord of snacks and accessories that I get just down the street here in the Copa with our friends at Circle K. We're so excited to partner with Circle K. Check out your local Circle K. As I mentioned, snacks, fantastic. They've got their own snack selection. Some people are like, well, it's too similar to X, Y, and Z. It's cheaper and it's better. Best coffee, beer, snack selection, premium gas at not a premium price. Iced coffee, $1.89, 12 packs of beer, 4-piece, $9.99, Red Bull, Monster Energy drinks. They've got something called their SMS Subscriber Club. It's an exclusive club, and I'm going to give you the in right now on how to join. All you got to do, text PHNX to 31310 to join this SMS Subscriber Club, and you're going to get buy one, get one free, not 16, not 24, 32-ounce Polar Pops on Circle K. Head to your local Circle K, find it, don't know where it is, go to circlek.com/store-locator. That's circlek.com/store-locator to find the nearest Circle K to you, Bo Brock.
I know where I'm going for snacks on a Saturday afternoon, getting some Polar Pops, a little BOGO action, no doubt about it. Can't beat that. Then some poolside, because I'm going to fearlessly pop the shirt off. We've already fearlessly this week gone sleeveless, and that's thanks to our friends over at Manscaped. Manscaped continues to give us, just the bravery, right? To go out there and show off the bod, and the smooth sack summer is back, right? I mean, you got hot girl summer, you got hot dude summer, I don't know, but now it's smooth sack summer. You can't go wrong with smooth sack. Thanks to our friends over at Manscaped, manscaped.com. You get 20% off, free shipping with our code PHNX. What's up, Emma?
It's a hot boy summer.
Oh, what did I say?
Hot guy summer.
Okay. All right.
You can have a hot boy summer.
Yeah. Hot fella summer. I don't know.
You don't have a hot boy summer.
I can't believe you got a problem with me saying the guy or the boy, but I'm saying smooth sack, and you're fine with that.
Because it's like you have hot girl summer and hot girl walk.
Yeah.
Hot boy summer and hot boy walk.
All right. Thank you for clearing that up. I appreciate that. And also, speaking of clearing up, what's up?
Me?
Yeah, you were just making weird noises there.
Well, yeah, I was just, Hot Boy Summer came from Chet Hanks, who is the black sheep of the family, who should be disowned by Tom Hanks, as the Cardinals basically disowned DeAndre Hopkins.
Hold on, I'm not done talking about smooth sack summer. All right,
I thought that read, whatever that read was, I thought that had concluded.
No, it hadn't. It was just getting started because you've got the crop preserver, you've got the performance package 4.0 with Manscaped, you've got the boxers and shed travel bag that you're going to get cash in on, 20% off plus free shipping. Code PHNX at manscaped.com. Get 20% off free shipping using the code PHNX at manscaped.com. It's smooth sack summer, boys. Get on board. Don't get left behind. Our next Tank Tuesday, you're going to see just dolphin smooth shoulders and arms, thanks to our friend over at Manscaped. Use that code PHNX. Now use that Chet Hanks transition for DeAndre Hopkins. That was a long way to go, my friend.
Love a good smooth dolphin. Yeah. So DeAndre Hopkins, if you didn't know, not on the team anymore. He's off
Yeah.
the Cardinals, but he's off the Cardinals, but he went on every podcast known to man, except for this show this offseason, and said, I want to play with Josh Allen. I want to play with Patrick Mahomes. I want to do this, that, and the other. So on Thursday, my man went to Tennessee to meet with the Titans. The Titans, who I think we're all in agreement, not going to be very good this year, right? I mean, they got a nice coach, but they also have Will Levis. They used a draft pick on Will Levis, who looks apparently egregious, awful during OTAs. They've got, Ryan Tannehill's corpse floating around there. And that's where D-Hop has chosen to take, I do believe, his first team visit.
Right.
If by the time this show concludes, DeAndre Hopkins signs with the Tennessee Titans, it's a money play. It's a money play, and that's great for D-Hop. But man, oh man, I think it'll make Cardinal fans feel a lot better shipping it out to Tennessee into irrelevance because, I don't expect Tennessee to be playing meaningful football in December and January. Whereas if you see Hopkins in Buffalo, in Kansas City, that could be tough to stomach. Let him not catch passes from Will Levis, and he'll have flashbacks to David Blau. We'll all be in good shape.
It's really strange because you thought he was a guy that was consumed with his legacy and with the potential of seeing his bust and can't. And you see, he just turned 31, right? And he leads all wide receivers as far as, I believe, yardage up into the year 31. And then there were a lot of wide receivers that did a lot of work post being 31 that really made themselves rubber stamp Hall of Famers, future rubber stamp Hall of Famers in Larry Fitzgerald's situation. But DeAndre Hopkins, if he just goes to Tennessee and catches footballs from Tannehill or Malik Willis or attempts from Will Levis, he will sink further and further into irrelevancy. And, if it's, and it would be all about the money because that some team would be willing to pay him, not a lot, but, at least around vet minimum, but also giving him opportunity to play, big time football in a just a loaded AFC. And it's not in the AFC South playing for the Tennessee Titans. Now the Titans have overachieved. They were shocking, top seed a year removed from 2022. And they did some great things, but they are far removed from that squad. And I would be shocked to see if them contend, even with the DeAndre Hopkins. And you can't spin it, to me at least, that he's going to a place to title chase, because I think that would be more what I would think would be kind of like give Cardinals fans a little bit of peace of mind that he went from didn't want to stare down a rebuild to go chase a Lombardi. And that's just not what he's doing if he's going to at least take a visit in Tennessee and considering signing with the Titans.
It's a bad look if it goes down. I'll be the first to admit that. The Titans have, via overthecap.com, about $8 million, whereas Buffalo, Kansas City, those teams are up against the cap. And what I will say is that I think we, unfortunately, if this goes down, have to give some credit to public enemy, number one to the show, Mike Florio. If you remember Thursday night on draft night, he had reported that the Titans, who I had also heard were interested in coming up to pick 3. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
But then there was that report from Florio that said that the Cardinals were going to include D-Hop in that trade. And then we're all like, what is going on here? And that trade obviously didn't come to fruition. Houston ended up having picks 2 and 3, and Tennessee was left out to dry. And it's part of the reason they have Will Levis now stinking it up in the second round. But to me, it screams like once upon a time that team did the same thing, acquiring Julio Jones. And I think Hopkins is a better player than Julio was at that stage of his career. But go look at Tennessee's dead cap situation. They have $36 million in dead cap, including $8 million from Julio Jones. So I think it's best case scenario for Cardinal fans, honestly. You get him to go to a team like that that's irrelevant right now, again, respectively to Tennessee. And they could still win 7 or 8 games, but just the prominence of Hopkins on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football with a true contender will be hard for me and a lot of Cardinal fans to stomach, right? If he goes with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, if he takes a couple million, he plays 17 games, he's going to have double-digit touchdowns. He's going to have 1,300 yards. But if he
You
goes
think
to
that
10,
stings more just because they outright released him? I mean, that they
100%,
couldn't get anything.
100%.
But I'm from the other side of it to where I still want to see DeAndre Hopkins play at a high level. And I just don't think he's going to get the opportunity. I think he's going from one organization that wouldn't correctly embrace the direction that it should go, right, as far as where they realistically were roster-wise, to another one. I mean, it's as far as what I would hate for DeAndre Hopkins, his career, basically to go out on a whimper. I think that's potentially what could happen.
Don't discount the fact Cardinals released him. They were going to pay him $30 million this year. Cardinals released him. How much money did he get of that $30 million, Bo Brock? About $21 million, right? So in his mind, it's like, well, I at least got to make up that $10 million plus, right? I got to get more guarantees this year and next year. So I agree with the people that think, well, he's not going to take, $5-6 million. That's less than he was going to make in Arizona. He's got to at least have an equivalent of what he was going to make in Arizona, because he could have been a good soldier this offseason. Say, I want to retire an Arizona Cardinal. I love this franchise. Let's move some of my money around. I'll make some this year and next year. He wanted out, but he wanted out on his terms with his money and his market right now. Is there that story dominated our show this offseason? It has gone off without a whimper. Not only could they not trade him, they released him, and then he hasn't been signed yet. It's super, super bizarre.
Right. That there's no teams with at least high expectations that are legitimately in the conversation, right? I mean, we're getting a reality check of what the market or lack thereof that Monti Ossenfort was staring down all off season long, and that's tough because
makes you feel good about Monty though, because he held out to the last second, and then now we're really seeing Hopkins' value to these other teams. It's not very much.
It's a bad organization that's like, hey, yeah, we'll bring you in. It's a bad organization that it's like, hey, we're gonna go get a rookie quarterback a year after drafting another guy in the third round that was not good at football, and this guy plummeted in the draft, and then we're going to kind of ride this line that usually never works out for teams of rebuilding and contending. It just, you can't be in the middle. And as Cardinals fans, we know that. We what it looks like is you can win 11 games, but this league is brutal, and you can go from the penthouse to the outhouse so quickly. And it really seems like Tennessee is on the precipice of that.
I would love to see, selfishly, Anthony Richardson have a really good year for Indy, in part because it means Houston's bad, which helps the Cardinals draft pick, but also just to kind of stick it to Tennessee, because the Titans wanted to come up to 3, and then they kind of backed off, and they allowed Anthony Richardson to go 4th overall, and that's going to be a really interesting dynamic to watch, because Houston got Stroud, Richardson went 4th overall. Of course, Jacksonville's got Trevor Lawrence. Who are you going to have? Now, the Titans, you're going to have a 30, 31-year-old D-Hop with Will Levis and Malik Willis. Tannehill's cap number, $36 million. Barf. You know what's not barf? Go PHNX.com. Become a diehard. Diehard gets you exclusive content, the Discord every day. Bo Brock and I hanging out, giving you the insight from OTAs. Our guy, Howard Balzer, who joined us earlier. 90% of his content's free, but for that sweet, sweet spot of 10%, you get that on the house with your diehard membership to come and party with us. Every event possible you get discounts off of. You can cop some gear, a free hat and or t-shirt every single year. You're a diehard with our friends, us at gophnx.com. There's so much movement now with not only the Cardinals, but these Valley teams that are crushing it, a la the Suns are making moves. You got the Diamondbacks tied for first place. And then what's going on with the Coyotes, potentially a new stadium. You're going to get all that insight and more with our friends at gophnx.com. Become a diehard today. You will not be sorry that you did.
You get free gear. You get deals at Dobson Ranch. So you get 50% off at Dobson Ranch. I mean, that's unreal.
Basically free.
Hit the links, and at a great place. Had a great time out there at the Big Drive Energy PHNX golf tournament. Dobson Ranch, you can save. You get lots of deals becoming a diehard. It's more than just in on the Discord and in on the PHNX family. There's a lot of benefits to it, a lot of perks, as they say in the biz. Also perks, being part of the PHNX family is I get to come in to these studios and hang out with great furniture, just plop down in the lounge chairs and on the nice chairs that we have on sets. More Furniture is the place where you can save big on the best furniture in the Valley. Just head over to morefurniture.com and figure out how you're going to bolster your living room, your dining room, your kids' room, your entertainment center, or your guest room. Maybe that needs some love. Go to morefurniture.com right now and take advantage of their white glove delivery as the temperatures hit triple digits. You don't want to have to go out there and put on a sweat, find your friend with a truck, ask them for a favor, them deliver it, and then you have to move it, throw your back out, sweat, nearly pass out. Next thing you know, you can't go to work, you're homeless, and you don't have a place to put your beautiful More Furniture. No, take advantage of the white glove delivery now, and you're not going to have to lift a finger, you're not going to have to get rid of the packing materials. They do that, and they set it up. So morefurniture.com, unbelievable selection of furniture. Save big on the best furniture in the Valley when you head over to morefurniture.com. Do it.
Like and subscribe this podcast. Why not? It's your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast content throughout the duration of the summer. We've got mandatory mini camp on the horizon. Bo Brock, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Number 3, Budda Baker. Is he in attendance for mandatory?
Yeah, he said he's going to be, right? He's going to let the business guys hang out and figure out the business, and then you're going to have Budda Baker out there for the first time all off season long, doing what he does, and just an absolute problem in the on the practice fields. His practices are legendary. It's going to start to set an example. I mean, these guys think they've been seeing NFL football. They ain't seen nothing yet until they see number 3 out there in Budda Baker. And hopefully some guys get healthy and get on the practice field. I already saw DJ Humphries this week, Kelvin Beachum return. Hopefully get Kazir White back out there. And the Arizona Cardinals just kind of get closer and closer to full strength outside of their number 1 signal caller, Kyler Murray, as they approach training camp at the end of next month.
Kyler Murray, Hollywood Brown earlier this week, throwing the football on the beach, taking a much needed vacay. Don't take a vacay from this podcast, by the way. Make sure you've got your download set to automatic, your smartphone, your smart device, whatever you may call it. Subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube. Like this video, share it around. He's Bo Brock. I'm Johnny Venerable. We're back on Monday. Have a good weekend, everybody.